Friends, I feel confident that somewhere within the past few weeks, somewhere since this manhwa got voted for and won my event for most votes, I said that I was going to want to rebuy these volumes after I read it. And what do you know, friends? Yes, that's exactly where I am today. Hello friends, happy Friday. So very excited that you're here. So excited I'm here. I was sick earlier this week and today filming. I know I probably still sound sick, but I do feel a lot better. Might not have 100% peak energy, but I'm going to try and bring that energy because I'm finally reviewing the Villainous series that you guys voted for in my Villainous event. If you're unsure of all that was, be sure to check out that video. I don't remember why I didn't review it last month. I might have gotten sick, might have been what it was then. My daughter gave me her cold, yay, because there is no social distancing with my 6-year-old. But the series I'm reviewing today that I'm very excited to talk about is Not So Wicked Stepmom. I'm going to be reviewing volumes 1 through 5. I even double checked last night after I finished volume 5 to see, does my library system have volume 6? And sadly, no, they do not have it. I was very disappointed, but I did see that Books A Million, one of the places that I shop at, does, or at least for my books, does in fact have that volume on sale, but we just bought Christmas presents, and if you did not see, well, not here very recently, but like in the past few weeks, and then if you happen to miss the post that I did about my husband's car and what happened, our insurance is not paying for it, so yeah, I might not be able to get the series right away. Listen, I don't even know why I got rid of it the first time. I was thinking so hard. I said, Laura, I said, who did you sell it to? When did you sell it? Why did you sell it? And the answer is, I don't know, to every single one of them. But y'all, I really want to get this series again. It was a total gem to be back with these characters. In case if you're not familiar with this manhwa, I believe it is still ongoing online. We have, I think when I was looking last night, we have 8 volumes that are out in English. I think volumes 7 and 8 are both up for pre-order. I didn't see when those were releasing though. I just wanted to see if volume 6 was already available, and it is. And I'm hoping that since Black Friday is right around the corner, I'm hoping if I can't get the series right away, that I can at least get that volume to read ahead, because everything that I'm talking about today, I have reread, or yeah, I have reread at this point. So yeah, what I was trying to say is, if you're not familiar with this series, this is about our main female lead. Her name is Abigail, and I don't know how you say her full Korean name, and I don't remember what her Korean name was, but she was a Korean children's clothes designer. She ends up passing away from being overworked because she was starving herself, taking diet pills, and just ultimately was not taking care of herself. And so when she dies in Korea, she wakes up in the body of the evil stepmother based off of the story of Snow White. I was about to say Snow White the red hair, but Snow White, okay? That she's supposed to be representing that evil stepmom. And the thing is though, the twist here is her stepdaughter, is it Blanche? Is that how you say her name? I couldn't find a good English pronunciation to make sure I was saying her name right, and the French one was the only one that was sounding like correct to me. But this is her very cute, very adorable stepdaughter, and the thing is, rather than having this ill will towards her or wanting her to not be around anymore through any means necessary, Abigail loves her. She thinks she is the cutest in the world, and the first step that she decides to take is to get closer to her stepdaughter, not just so she could stay alive. That is not her number one motive here. Her number one motive is just to get closer to her because she feels she's just so cute, and she's like, how could nobody love this girl? She's the most adorable in the whole world. With this twist though, is that the father of who would be Snow White, our precious Blanche here, that he's still alive. Sabrine here is definitely comes across very cold-hearted, and he wants more or less nothing to do with Abigail. Before our female lead is the new Abigail here, this woman had done anything and everything to get close to him, to get his attention. Sorry to piece like a fuzz or something that was in the air. To do anything that she can, to the point where she even poisoned herself to get his attention. So they think this is just another one of her plots to get rid of his daughter, to get close to him, when now this new Abigail is completely transformed because it's a completely different person. I was rereading my reviews of the series from, I think it was from 2023 and 2024, and I feel it's interesting going back because the first thing I want to say is this is the most family-oriented manhwa I've ever read. And I'm very baffled by past me of dropping this series, and it's not like I left negative reviews when I was rereading them, and I just don't know what happened. I think it was for volume 4, which I left like the lowest rating, and I was like, excuse me, past self, get out the room, get out the way, we're bumping this up to 5 stars, buddy. Like, I don't know what past me was doing, and I think it's because around this time, now I do want to mention, I actually have read the novel. I have a review. I read it on Thanksgiving Day sometime in the past. You can't even get that novel anymore. There were definitely, in hindsight, like a lot of typos near the end, but I loved the story. So when the manhwa got announced, I remember being really excited about it, which makes it all the more baffling of why I got rid of my copies. I don't understand. So anyway, because this will be my third time basically rereading this story in some kind of format. Going back to what I was saying is when I was rereading my review of volume 4, I believe, I was mentioning that this series is very different than my typical manhwa reading in the sense that it is very wholesome, very family oriented. There's so many beautiful moments just about family and about love. It's not like The Remarried Empress where I'm throwing a mini tantrum at certain people's actions and like this guy is awful, or villains are destined to die, aka Derek, where I'm like, I hate his guts, like I can't stand him on page and I just can't stand him, period. And these other series, I love reading them because I love the characters, minus, a few, but I love reading them and I love how they turn me into a different person. Maybe that sounds really bad. Now with my manga, oh, you give me the most wholesome thing you can find. Like I will eat it up. Like I love that. That is my cup of tea. And so this manhwa was really different than the other manhwa I was reading. And I think at that time, because I was starting to get really excited for manhwa, I'm like, oh, I love this. This is amazing. Like why are more people talking about it? That I was going back and forth of, okay, this manhwa reads like the manga I love, and that's not a reading experience I want. I want that unhinged and getting angry and literally taking my pillow and just hitting across my bed because I'm so mad at these characters' actions. Like, you're not going to find that kind of experience here. Instead, you're going to find this really reflective, inspiring, wholesome, emotional story that does have funny moments as well, that really just captures your heart. And I felt like coming back to this series was ultimately the perfect time for me. I really didn't know what fully I was going to say about this series today, to be honest, and I was just like, well, I'm going to pray it goes well and I can say what I have wanted to say about it. And honestly, I'm going to say this volume was my favorite, even though at the time I felt like volume 3 was, but then I read volume 4 and I say this was the perfect time for me because I haven't really shared publicly about it, but behind the scenes, emotionally, I've really been struggling. There has been some massive changes to family tradition in my family. Like not with me and my husband and my kids, but like my parents and extended family. It rocked me. It really shook me up. It's been really hard to work through my emotions of the family that has hosted for over 10 plus years. They've always hosted, and to know that this Thanksgiving that's coming up, and I'm unsure about Christmas, but that these holidays that have always been very faithful in this family tradition are not going to be there for the first time that I can ever recall in my lifetime. When I read this volume specifically, one thing that I wanted to say is it's Abigail's birthday. There has been a tradition of how Abigail's birthday has always been, even before she's this new person that's been reincarnated as her, or transmigrated, I think is the proper word, into her, where they're big, long, week-long celebrations and very lavish and so many gifts. And this new Abigail's like, I really don't want that. I just want a simple birthday with my family, the two people I love and care for. And seeing this change of it's always been this way, whether good or bad. It's been that tradition. And here is this family where you have been on these several volumes of seeing them overcome massive obstacles of just lack of communication to starting to get to know one another, even if it's just 5 minutes a day between our father and daughter of having a conversation, that there's starting to be love there. And it's not just, hey, these people are acquaintances or they're just strangers that happen to share blood or happen to be related through marriage. No, they have become this special, unique, and beautiful family. And so seeing this brand new tradition that rises up in volume 4, seeing the peace and the happiness on these characters' faces, it blessed my heart so much, friends. It rocked me in like the best of ways. And it gave me personal hope for the upcoming holidays that, I'm not gonna probably see extended family. I might not even see my parents due to certain decisions that they have made, and I might just see my grandma and then, of course, my husband and my kids before I would have. I mean, I did cry about it, if I'm honest, I did, because I was like, man, this thing that's always been every year is not there. Again, seeing this family, that I was like, it's going to be different, but they show how beautiful this new difference is that I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. Like, it gave me such hope for the future. And one thing I remember too, when reading the series the first time, is truly how powerful it is to be able to come together as a family with any kind of difference or uncertainty, and how there's this open communication, not just between husband and wife, but between husband and wife and child. It was very profound, and it really hit me as a mom of 3 kids and as a wife, that I was like, man, there is so much to take away from Abigail in the inspiration of her life when a certain scene comes up and launches like, I would like to call you mother. Abigail has this very beautiful internal conversation of, I have always loved this sweet child, but I viewed myself more as an aunt than as a mother. And she's starting to question of, wonder if I can't raise this child. I don't even know what I'm doing. It's, I feel like regardless of what your role may be in a child's life, or I should say title, whether you are a mother or a stepmother or a grandmother or I can't think of, there's a certain other name that I'm thinking of because I have several friends that are like that person should something ever happen to those parents, that their child would be in their care. Whatever that term is, or that title, that word is. I can't think of what it is right now. I'm sorry. But any of these titles, any of these labels or names, we're all human at the end of the day, but our love that we have for these children is more than enough. Even when you feel like you're making mistakes, and we definitely see that there is much question between our leads here when they talk about arranged marriage for their daughter in the sake of the kingdom. And that was so good, because even if you don't feel you're on the same page, which they were, don't worry, but like, I'm just saying in general, like, even if you don't feel you're on the same page with your significant other and you're like, I don't know how to raise this kid, I don't want to say it's going to be okay, but I feel like this story shows, and maybe it sounds really cliche, but love is enough. That love will help shape you. Maybe you will stumble along the way. Goodness, I know I have as a mom. Like, just when you think you got things going, you're like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. Then suddenly my teenager's asking about dating, and I'm like, I've only dated your dad. I have no idea to any of these questions. It's definitely a humbling experience, but it's very beautiful. And so I feel, what I'm trying to say with all that is, I feel like this series just captures the beauty of family, the ups and downs, the uncertainties, sometimes the anger, sometimes the miscommunication or lack of communication, and then seeing those hardships or those elements that we may look at them like, oh man, family, I don't really necessarily want that, or I don't want kids because that is tough. And it is tough. But then we see the flip side of this family, and we see how at the very beginning of how there was no communication, there was no fondness or love. I mean, outside of Abigail loving her stepdaughter here and being obsessed with her like a fangirl in a positive way, not a bad way. But when we see that, and then we see this gradual change of, man, they are starting to use their words. They're starting to convey what's in their mind. And when they do certain actions, like case in point is when our male lead here, he goes to dance with Abigail, and then, to keep it spoiler free, he doesn't want to dance with her and hits her hand away. And it was shocking, because it's like, do you hate her then? Do you really despise her, as it seems that you have up to this point? But then they talk, and then Abigail realizes it was nothing what she thought it was. And I won't go into spoilers about that, but his backstory, if you've never read this series and you read it and you're like, oh, I hate this dude, please have patience, because when his backstory comes out, it is enraging, it is heartbreaking, and very powerful to see Abigail's response to his story. I mean, the way that she just loved on him and just felt so much emotion on his behalf was everything as a reader. It gives me goosebumps because it was, I mean, I don't think it matters if you're a parent or not. Like, the anger should be rightfully there of what happened to him. So be patient with him in the beginning. But it's hard. It's hard, okay? The things he be saying, the way he be acting is like, can I just go, like, bop you on the back of the head, talk some sense into anybody? Like, it's there. But yeah, there are just so many moments that I felt really inspired as a reader. And then when I got to the end of volume 5, I was so sad. I love being able to read the series not in one sitting, but to read them back to back, because it was very profound to see how much this family has grown and how they're able to hold hands, call each other mother, father, say I love you, like all these little moments that I feel sometimes maybe I personally take for granted in my own life, but seeing these are beautiful, heartfelt things that is such a wonderful privilege to be able to tell people in our life. I think regardless if they are family or if they're just a very dear friend that you view as family, these are things that we shouldn't take for granted. They're very powerful and life-changing. And some of the moments that feel maybe to an outsider, that's really insignificant. But here we have our sweet, precious girl, the cutest in the world. Hear her saying that her family hugging, that this is the best moment in her life. And some people, could just say, like, I'm talking about in the story world, that some of the servants could have just looked on like, oh, that's precious, they're hugging, but like, it's just a hug. Like, how could she say this is the best day of her life? But when you look back at the beginning and you see how far they've come, it's like, yes, these hugs are so valuable and precious. Abigail, I really feel like, lives out that she could have all the things in the world. She could be gifted all the things by her husband, but that's not what she wants at the end of the day. She doesn't want like 100 new dresses or all the fanciest gems or a brand new mine of gems. No, she'd rather at the end of the day be sitting at the table with her family, as I said earlier, just celebrating her birthday. It was beautiful. Really remind you to take these small moments day by day and treasure them. Don't take them for granted. Not that anything bad happens, but I guess it just was a reminder to me of how those small things that don't seem really big, you get used to giving hugs every day, say to your significant other, or, loved ones in your life, or saying I love you, and realize like, man, these words really have power, that these actions have power as well. And so this story, I feel like, just takes those moments and shows the beauty of them. I mean, I feel like I probably felt that the first time I was reading, but coming back, it was, again, just exactly what I needed. And now maybe it's like, well, that's a really deep, profound kind of read. And, it has those, it does. But it's also really funny. The artwork is hilarious. And I wish I would have taken more pictures. I know I took one, but I can't remember where it's at, because the funny thing in the beginning, I guess going back to volume 1 would be a good place to go, is Abigail, since she is the villainess, she's a beautiful woman, but when she smiles, she doesn't have her face sort of transforms. Now, this isn't when she's smiling, but you have a lot of panels like this where it's a very exaggerated, not just for Abigail, but for other characters, and the humor is on point. Like, there's a very wonderful balance of this humor and of, I guess you'd say at times, that there's anger and then soft moments, and then, you're having even a moment like this where Abigail's looking, I'm not really sure how to describe it, but she is waiting very patiently for her man, though nothing happens. Like, this is, I do love how, I think Abigail even says in another volume, she's like, we're trying to keep this rated G, okay? And I do think that it does the series pretty well. Maybe like PG for certain things with the male lead's backstory and whatnot. And I still have not found a good smile of Abigail so I could show you. I know there's a moment where she's looking in the spoon because the servants have gotten used to her and they're like, oh, she's so beautiful, she's so great. And then she sees other people and she's like, oh, they're sort of scared of me. And she's like, I forgot, because everybody got used to, here we go. She's like, everybody's gotten used to my face in the castle, so going outside and meeting other people, yeah. Yeah, that was a thing. One element that I did forget that I really love, so I did mention at the beginning that Abigail, in her previous life, that she was a children's clothes designer. There are some really wonderful themes and topics that are explored about like eating healthy, not starving yourself, making sure that you are, you know, aiming to be happy in your life. I mean, for our characters here, they are part of royalty, so like that goes back to the arranged marriage, and you know, if our beautiful little girl here, if she got married, that it could, to a certain country, it could be a one-up for their nation. But they're like, just be a little child, be you, don't worry about these politics and everything like that. But what I wanted to mention is the clothes. I loved how Abigail really is a trendsetter and how she creates these, or designs, excuse me, these outfits that are so precious, and I love how it affects this world in a positive way. Like, we even see things with the green dye, which I feel like was inspired maybe a little bit based off of something that really happened in the real world, I guess you would say. And I think Abigail does actually touch on that. But she makes these mentions to these different dresses from different times and influencing other ladies and just wanting to talk fashion. And I really loved that element of this story. It was very beautiful, and it fits perfectly because she often mentions about, she's like, oh, she's like, my little girl's, you know, getting dressed up and being able to look at dresses and stuff, trying to find like a good moment where we see where she's dressing up or trying on shoes. It was just a wonderful small part of this series, and seeing our cutest little girl really, I don't want to say really grow up, like she does, but she gets to act like a child for the first time, and that was absolutely beautiful. It was very hard when there's different moments where she has been influenced by other people, like for example going the whole dieting thing that was very popular, I guess, in this time, where if you need, you know, wear corset and whatnot, they're like, you need to make sure that you're on a diet and not getting fat or anything. Like, somebody even makes the reference of, you don't want to turn to a piggy. I'm like, girl, why you gotta use that? Like, she's already really small and petite. Like, no, she's not gonna suddenly become this fat pig or anything. Like, but of course, those were just latched on in her brain. She had to talk through those things with another character, so that was really good. But I enjoyed, though, I say all that, is I enjoyed seeing her have this backbone, because her father makes a few points of, he didn't want to show her affection because he didn't want her to be weak. If she's going to be the future queen one day, she needs to be strong and to be able to raise her people. And he comes to this moment of like inner turmoil where he's talking with Abigail, and he really didn't see that kindness could be something more that's not a weakness, and that our precious girl here does have a backbone, but yet she still shows that kindness to other people. That was a fantastic conversation, because I feel like it's so true. Like, just because she's super kind, and there's times where she is afraid and you can see her physically shaking, she's still addressing whatever needs to be, say like a certain topic that needs to be brought up. She's bringing it up. Even later on when she was influenced, and then she talks to Abigail and her father, and she gains this confidence where she will not be influenced by other people in the wrong way, because there's quite a few times where people try to tell her, you know, Abigail is just sort of wearing this mask, she's faking it, she's not being sincere, she's not being real, and she's like, no, if you really get to know my mom, you would see that she is genuine. She may look a little scary, but she is a very soft-hearted person and deeply loves and cares for those around her. And I loved seeing that gradual transformation in our girl here. Like, she truly, in my opinion, just gets more and more beautiful as the series goes on. Some of that, I'm sure, is Abigail's influence, okay? I'm not going to deny that, but I think just as a reader, even outside of Abigail's influence, seeing her be able to be this child and thrive and be so happy because she's just happy that her parents are happy and that they're a family really warmed my heart. I was supposed to say made me happy, but I said happy a whole bunch right then. But it really blessed my heart and touched my heart a whole bunch when I was reading it. And so I love seeing her transformation, because I definitely feel that all three of our leads here, that they grow a lot. Even Abigail, and I did read some reviews, and y'all, don't be going on Baka updates reading them reviews. I was like, are we even reading the same story here? Like, this is a little bit brutal here, okay? Maybe I just don't have enough manhwa under my belt to be able to say that I feel like this series is very unique and very different than a lot of other series. I don't know, but I was, I'm not gonna read those reviews again. So anyway, the transformation of all three of these characters is so real, and I saw somebody mention that Abigail has her own transformation that's coming, because we definitely see with our father and daughter, like we definitely see them grow. I feel like, our daughter grows a lot more confident in herself and is truly acting like a child, and her father here is genuinely listening to people and acknowledging them and not just coming across really cold and blunt. Like he's really warming up to his family and being very vocal, and now he's wanting to participate at dinner or have dinner with his family every night rather than every 3 days, I think is originally what it was. Even though at first he was trying to be like 3 times a month, twice a month, maybe once a week. He kept trying to make the time longer. And then near the end of volume 5, he is thriving having this family time and seeing this physical, I feel like, in the way that he carries himself, in the way that his body language, that he is transformed in that sense, and mentally and emotionally. Abigail, I feel like, has these subtle changes, but we definitely see at a few points in this story where even though she's like, I'm in this beautiful body, she still struggles to sort of follow her own advice that she gives her stepdaughter of eating what she would like and not worrying about having this very strict diet on yourself. It's like, that's really hard for me to apply those words to my own. And then sometimes, like when somebody was trying to gift her a live thing, she genuinely felt she didn't deserve to have it. And so I'm really looking forward, based off of that review that I saw wherever it was, that Abigail is going to have this big transformation that I feel like she's already having these subtle ones, but to have a big one, I want to see it because I love these characters. And I truly, at the end of this volume, I was not ready to say goodbye. I feel like this series is so special, and it's one that just passed me. I don't know what I was doing. And I wish I could go back in time and be like, yo, I don't know what's influencing you to sell this series, but you need to hold on to it because you're going to love it. You're going to come back to it. So thank you to everybody who voted for this series. As I said before, this series was a perfect timing for me and touched my heart at so many moments. And I'm thankful that we definitely have Manhwa, like the Remarried Empress, that have characters I can't stand and characters I love, like if villains are destined to die. But then we have series like this that are more reflective. And if you're not looking for something that has unhinged drama or like these characters doing these crazy things that are going to affect everyone, I mean, yes, we sometimes have like some crazy decisions, but I feel like nowhere on that level. Like when I say crazy level, I'd say like Abigail getting a magical mirror. That character is my favorite character. I love them. I don't know how I could talk about them without giving spoilers though, so I wasn't planning to touch on them, but just know that magical mirror, I also have hopes and expectations that we will see them much more. I saw it on cover 6 that we actually see them, so I'm really excited for that. Would definitely, again, recommend this series. It's beautiful. It is a fun story to read, emotional at times, and I was like, man, I want to see how this series ends, continue to see that romance bloom despite that our leads are already married, to see our beautiful girl here. I want to see her grow up, and I just want to see our family continue to come closer and closer and overcome what any person is trying to do. Duke Stoke, get out of the picture, my man. That any person trying to come against them, whether meaningfully or unintentionally, with these outlandish ideas of like, you don't even listen to her, like, bro, get out the room. Get out the room, buddy. Yes, my goal is to recollect the series once again. I'm very thankful that my library had it. And just thank you again, friend, to everybody who voted for this series. I truly hope that I did this series justice. I felt like I wanted to talk more about personal things and how this series impacted me. Maybe I do that every video review, but I don't know. It felt different because I didn't really dive deep into each and every character. But yeah, if you've read this series, let me know who your favorite character is, or, what are parts of the series that you really, really love. I would love to know. And if you haven't read this series, but you enjoy found family, which I know we did talk about a few weeks ago, but just family-oriented manga or manhwa, please don't hesitate to leave any recommendations below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!